I have tried to tell you, Slick, I'm trying to tell you all, America, there is going to be an issue with Chris Paul in Golden State. I was reading a book earlier today, and one of my favorite quotes from it is, don't let your ego get in the way of making the best decision possible. And I believe that Draymond Green's ego has often gotten in his way of making the best decision possible, albeit with Kevin Durant, albeit with Jordan Poole, and albeit now saying, yes, I have publicly said I don't like Chris Paul, rather than simply saying, but you know, he's my teammate now. I'm going to get to know him in a different fashion. I'm not just going to sit here and say I like him now. I look forward to getting to know him amongst men. No, like the ego has gotten in the way for Draymond Green. And Chris Paul, you know he has an ego himself, rightfully so. All athletes do. But the question is, can you taper and channel that ego positively? We've seen Chris Paul's ego in the last 7 days. Shady brought the points up yesterday, as did Slick. A reporter asked Chris Paul how he felt about coming off the bench. Chris Paul snapped back and said, you coaching? Ego. How dare you assume I will come off the bench? Draymond Green, I don't like Chris Paul, and I'm not going to say that now I do. Ego. Slick, I believe there is an issue brewing. What's your reaction?
I do not believe that there's an issue brewing. I believe that while birds of a feather may not flock together.
What they do?
Okay.
They can fly together. They're just not going to flock, right? And we've seen guys, Pat Bev, Russ Westbrook, we've seen guys who have had beefs in the past who have gotten together and they've played together. They don't have to be friends. I don't know what your guys' experience was, if you ever had somebody on your team that you didn't quite
I've been there.
see eye to eye with, right? But when you got on the field or when you had the job done, you were like, I'm not going to allow us to get in the way of and getting the job done. And what I believe, you pointed out, whether it's ego or it's pride, I think Draymond Green and Chris Paul have a lot in common. I think that's why, as competitors, they have butted heads. But I also believe it's why that they can come together when they have a conversation, because they have the same mindset, which is, what do we have to do to win? What do I have to do to win? If I respect you as a competitor, right, then, and I know you compete as hard as I do, I can find a way for you to be my teammate. I may have not liked competing against you and the way you approached it, but once you're my teammate, we're going to find a way to get it done.
See, and I take it like that. Like, okay, so maybe we didn't get along. We were competing against each other. That happens. But now we're on the same team, have the same goals. He might become Draymond Green's main man. And then what he said on there, I actually respect. He said, yes, I'm on record for saying I don't like Chris Paul, right? For whatever reason it may be. I would take it because it's probably competing against each other. Chris might do some things he don't like, whatever it is. And then now he said, I'm not going to change because he's my teammate now. Right. He said, but I look forward to having a conversation like men to hash out whatever issue we might have had. Someone might have said, or you might have said, or someone might have thought, you might have thought. We could talk as men and clear it out because we have a job to do, and that's win a championship. So I love what Draymond Green said, and I truly think that vets, these guys are both vets, right? They're involved in a lot of different businesses. You see things that Chris Paul's doing off the court, so is Draymond Green. And if you can do things like that, working with people that you probably don't like, but you have a common goal, why not play a game of basketball, which you've been playing for so many years? Chris want to win a championship, and I feel like Draymond Green, that's the DNA of the Warriors. They want to win a championship. So why not work together and figure it out? I
love what you all are saying, but don't you think, as leaders, I think the collective age of Draymond Green and Chris Paul has to be around 70 plus, right? Like 75 or so. If they wanted to work together and figure it out, America, if they wanted to work together and figure it out, Shady, don't you think someone should have done that by now? In the sense of, they've been teammates roughly a month. These things are not hard to find nor utilize. If you wanted to pick up the phone and call your mans, hey, bro, I know we have beef privately. I know we have beef publicly, but let's go ahead and resolve this so we can go ahead to win a chip. Why are you still talking about things on podcasts publicly when he's been your teammate for over a month now? We should have resolved that. Draymond been in Golden State 10 plus years. Slick, if I'm getting a new partner in crime on television, a new partner in crime writing my book, I'm calling him ASAP.
But talking about, how you let that speak? Like, congrats, happy to have you on the team, and that might have been it. And they might need to be face-to-face to work things out. I don't want you to call me, right? Congratulate me, thank you, but if we got an issue, we need to see this hand-in-hand, face-to-face, talk to me like that. That's more respectful than a
That's
text.
fair. That's fair. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. Don't you think, though, like, if you're Draymond and you are the leader of the team, a leader so much so that you have quite literally gone and pleaded with Kevin Durant to come join your squad. So we know Draymond Green is willing to travel, gone to the Hamptons, willing to go above and beyond to make amends and to make men's meet.
Right.
Don't you think he should have done that with future Hall of Famer, top 5 point guard in the history of the game of basketball, Chris Paul?
I think it depends on the urgency of things.
That's
and
right.
I don't
That's right.
see an urgency as of right now. Like, we got to fix this right now. In fact, I would probably take it the other way. Like, on some level, he's not worried about this working out. Like, we're going to get together. We're going to hash it out. We both want the same thing. Like, I don't need to jump on this and get this fixed right away because we're going to have time to do that. And don't forget, while there might be some ego involved, like, Draymond Green is coming off of the disagreement with Jordan Poole. Draymond is coming off of, as you've pointed out, the allegation that he ran Kevin Durant off. Like, there's a little bit of pressure on Draymond Green to make this work. Like, and the same I would say for Chris Paul at this point. Like, dude, Phoenix jumped off your boat to go get Bradley Beal.
That's true.
Like, they both have a little something to prove and at stake. And I think that is going to make them a little more malleable than you would otherwise think.
And you know what? I'm not even to bring this up, but, you know, the Draymond Green, the father, they were going back and forth.
Jordan Poole's father.
Yeah, Jordan Poole. Yep. And I seen the punch. That's one of the best punches I've ever seen in years, though, bro. Like the overhand right.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm a boxing fan. He really used his hips.
But it wasn't it wasn't a sucker punch.
It wasn't.
No.
Because I keep hearing it being described as a sucker punch.
No.
When you go up to me and you got issues, I'm already defensively. Yo, back up on me, homie. Yo, back up on me.
But here's the sharp disagreement I think I have, Slick, with what you're saying is you continue to say that Draymond Green and Chris Paul, they want the same thing.
Yeah.
They do, but I don't think it's the same priority of which they want it. Every NFL player wants to win a Super Bowl. Every NBA player wants to win a championship. But I can tell by Shady's actions. Shady can tell by my work ethic. I can tell by your commitment. How much do you want it? We all at home want to get in better shape. But if you still eating a burger and fries at midnight, how much do you want it?
Fair.
Chris Paul wants to win a championship. But at the point in which a Warriors reporter assumes he will come off the bench, because him coming off the bench probably promotes them winning a championship most, and he says, you coaching?
Yeah.
At the point in which Draymond Green wants to win a championship. But in order to win a championship, you need to rectify your tension with Chris Paul as urgently as possible. Then how much do you want it? So I hear you when you say they both want the same thing. But if Draymond Green wanted to win a chip more than he wanted to punch Jordan Poole in the moment, he wouldn't have punched Jordan Poole. If Jordan Poole wanted to win a chip more than he wanted to be a thorn in everybody's side, he might have shut his trap sooner. So everybody wants something, but what are you willing to do to get it?
Yeah, I appreciate that because I do believe, don't tell me what you want to do, show me. And when someone is all in, you know they're all in. Because every action that they take is directed at the goal. And there aren't any hidden agendas, and there isn't any like, oh, why aren't they here today, or why did that happen, or whatever. I just look at what Draymond Green has done historically over the course of his career, in that he has made concessions. Like, he hasn't always stepped in the right direction, but he's always made good on it. And I don't necessarily see the urgency on his part to go and get with Chris Paul, because I think it's going to be a collective thing. You could make the case that it's as much between Steph and Chris Paul as it is between Draymond and Chris Paul, right? There was a time where Chris remember he had the fake smile, and then he walked off with Steve Kerr, and he did the shimmy. Like, it's not just Dre. Like,
even Steph, though. Steph told him, this ain't 2012 or 2014. Yeah. They both got that. That's competition, though.
Right. And so I don't know that it would be Dre's place necessarily to go out and individually try to get this right. I think it's a collective thing that has to happen. And I would also say I totally get your question about Chris Paul and his willingness to do what it takes. But knowing the history of his relationship with reporters and the way he's always been kind of sarcastic I don't take that reaction as a reflection of his resistance to coming off the bench as much as it is a resistance to having a reporter suggest that he's going to come off the bench.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.